Podcasting from Portland East to Portland West, from Big Pine Key to Pacific Beach, and from San Juan to Guam, this is All Across America.
Just lead me, man, and I'm going.
Yeah, there we go. Well, Frank, welcome to the show, and thank you for, you're a guest on the show. I'm a guest here in your club. Thank you for having me, and it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to have you on the show. When did you get started in the life?
Well, nice to meet you, number one. When did I get started? I broke into maybe about 1970, 71. Okay. My father was always there, but I got in, when I was old enough to drive, exactly drive, and that's when I broke in. It had to be about late 70s. By 71, I was driving everybody around. So
okay.
I was young. I was probably 13, 14.
And you were driving?
I was driving, yeah.
You had a license?
No. No. License. I still don't have a license. Yeah. It was about 70, 71, yeah. It was a night we were at the San Susan in Long Island. And we went to go see Jimmy Roselli. And we were driving back from San Susan. And my father says to me, "You drive home." Never drove a car in my life. Right? And I drove from Long Island, Mineola, Long Island. And I drove from Mineola to Brooklyn. And all he told me was, keep your eye on the rearview mirror, don't speed. And I drank maybe 7 doulas of water that night. Yeah. Did a good job. But after that, I drove everywhere after that.
Okay.
Drove my uncle Bobby around, he was one of the Gallo members, and Joe Schapani.
Okay.
I wound up being their drivers every place I went to go. I think both of them had no licenses or something like that. So I wound up driving everybody around.
So who's Bobby? Tell me about Bobby.
Bobby Bongiovanni. Bobby was, we called him Bobby Darrow. His name is Robert Bongiovanni. He was East Flatbush guy. He came up through one of those gangs, through the East Flatbush guys. Wound up being a hoodlum, and he wound up with Joey Gallo crew. And wound up being my godfather because my father got close with him,
okay. And
he became I think it was my confirmation was my godfather, and he was a pure killer, for the Gallo family. Nicest guy you want to ever meet, but unless it's business, then you're in trouble.
Right.
But he wound up doing a life bid, died in jail.
He did.
Yeah,
okay.
He died in jail. He killed someone right after Joey got killed. He had an argument with somebody in New York. It's in the newspaper. He got into an argument at a restaurant in the city. I think Matty the Horse had a restaurant in the city. Matty Horse owned the Umberto's, where Joey got
the Clam
killed.
House.
Yes.
Yes.
They also had a place in Uptown. And I think my Bobby and another guy went there. They were drinking. And the bartender turned around and said something stupid to him, like, I think he said he was with Joey Yacovelli. And Joey Yacovelli was one of the guys that ordered Joey's killing. So the story goes is that Bobby went into the bathroom, or followed the guy in the bathroom. I don't know the whole story, or the true story. I wasn't there. He went into the bathroom, and the guy got shot 4 or 5 times, came out of the bathroom, finished his drink, and left. And what happened was the waitress testified against him in trial. And the waitress wound up being a girlfriend of a wise guy. They didn't supposed to do it, but she did it. And they found a fingerprint on one of the glasses. So he got convicted on it. He got it for premeditated murder, which was an argument because premeditated, you have to prove that he went to go do that. Now, we know for a fact he didn't go to do that, so it shouldn't be. But he was a Gallo member. He was a killer. And they had to make a statement with him.
So he was an example.
He was an example.
Yeah.
He got railroaded.
Yeah. Right.
And the lawyer sucked. The lawyer was bad. And he wound up doing a life bid. He died 2011 in jail, cancer.
He was upstate, Demora.
He was in. I visited him in Auburn. I visited him in Attica. And at the end, he was in Clinton.
Clinton, okay.
Which is Dannemora.
Right. That's the one where the two guys escaped from.
Yes. And
Okay.
he died in Coxsackie because Coxsackie has a medical facility.
I see.
So I
Okay.
visited him when he died. So he died in Coxsackie.
Wow.
2011, yeah.
So he spent 40 years and
1973, they picked him up March.
wow.
So 73 to 2011. So whatever that is, it is.
I mean, and you hear all these stories of people committing murders and getting out after 10 years on good behavior. I mean, he was in for 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, why he didn't make parole, I think he probably was eligible. He probably messed up in there too. Who knows, you know. He was cuckoo. He wasn't old there, so people didn't do the evaluations of him. They just didn't think he was ready for the street again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Functional man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I was close with him, you know. I know what he did, but I didn't see it in him. When he spoke to me, lovingly,
Right.
you know, and but I know what he did. So was he functional, you know, to let him out again? He didn't change because when he was dying, the day before he died, I visited him in jail in Coxsackie, and I said to him, Bobby, I says, why don't you take the chemo or whatever they wanted to do? And he said no. And I said, why? And he said to me, he goes, I don't want to lose my hair. I said, you don't want to lose your hair. I said, you're going to die. And he says to me, nah, I don't give a... He cursed me. I don't give a damn. He says, I've been here long enough. That's it. I don't care.
Right.
And I said, okay. And I turned around and I said, okay. I says, anything I do for you? Anything? He goes, nah. I said, Bob, you got any regrets? He goes, no, I got no regrets. It is what it is. He goes, and I'm not going to, he says, and plus I'm not going to regret anything at the end because I don't want to go out like a boom.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know if he could say what he said, but
Yeah.
he said, I don't want to leave that way because I'm going to leave the way I came in. And he was nutty.
Yeah.
He was nutty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I liked him. He was good to me. I stood maybe about 5 years in the street with him, you know, drove him wherever we had to go. And he did what he did with his life. That was his life, and that's what he did, you know.
Yeah.
Good guy. Then after that, I drove with Joe Schapani. Joe Schapani was, we call him Gentleman Joe. Gentleman Joe came up with Lucky Luciano and Frank Costello, and he was Adonis's partner.
Okay.
So they had a restaurant on 4th Avenue. When Adonis got deported, Joe kept the restaurant, and Joe was the head of the garbage union, right? And he was a capo in the Colombo family, and very, very close with him. And he needed a driver, so I drove him around.
All
you know?
right.
I told a story is when I drove him one time. My father's supposed to drive him one time to his appointment in the city. And what happened was my father wasn't around, so he grabbed me. He goes, Frankie, boy, we got to go to the city. I said, okay. So I drove him to the city. We had to go to a hotel to see. He was going to see Frank Costello. And I pull up in front of the place. I found a parking space in front of the place. And I sit in the car, you know, wait for him. And he comes out. He goes, come on in. And he waved me in. And I come in. And I sat down with him and Frank Costello. That's how I met Frank Costello. I tell the story. People bust my chops, say, what are you going to go see? I said, I didn't go to see Frank Costello. I said, it just happened that I was driving, and they called me in because sometimes these guys are good, and, you know, and Costello turned around and said, what do you got the guy sitting in the car? Who is he? And he turned around, it's my nephew. He goes, well, bring your nephew in, because they wouldn't say nothing that I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
So I sat down and met Costello that day. It was an experience because, you know, Costello was, you see, just the power he, you know, controlled or whatever he did. And he was old. It was like a year before he died. So
This is early 80s then.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. I don't remember. Was it the 80s? No, I think it was the 70s.
70s. Okay.
I think it was 70s, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was early 70s, too. But that's how I wound up meeting Costello. But I wound up driving Joe around until he died. He died in like 2003. I think 2003 he died. Yeah.
So tell us about the Gallo brothers.
The Gallo brothers. The Gallo brothers were Gallo brothers were three brothers that were gangsters. You know, they were They were born. Their father was a bootlegger, Papa Gallo. Came over in the early 20s. He was a bootlegger, and he hooked up with the old timers. You know, the old mustache Pete's in the early days. He never got straightened out. He never was. You know, he was only friends with them and never gotten, you know, initiated in nothing. And he had 3 sons, and Papa Gallo started with the bootleg, and then he went to bookmaking. And so he had some money, and they had a luncheonette in Kennington, part of Brooklyn. And the 3 boys just grew up, and they got into their life. You know, they got involved with Johnny Beach Auto, you know, doing all small crimes, you know. And they went on to be who they were, you know. Joey was the crazy one. I mean, he was just a really old-style gangster, really. Yeah, he was really, really old-fashioned gangster stuff, like a Al Capone type flair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Larry was the brains of the outfit. He was, you know, the diplomat of it. You know, everybody was with. Larry was the boss.
He was the older brother.
Yeah, Larry was. They were a year apart.
Okay.
I think 28, 29, and 30. One was born in 1928, one was born in 1929, and one was born in 1930. Albert was the youngest. Joey was the middle. Larry was the boss. He was the brains of the outfit. And then he died in 1968 of cancer, and Joey took over, but Joey was in jail. So Blast watched the crew.
It was the youngest brother.
Yeah, he watched the crew until Joey got out, and then Joey got out in '71, and he took the crew back over again.
Okay.
And he started up the war with Joe Colombo,
All right.
Joey. But listen, they were pure gangsters. They were, you know, street guys. That's all they did 24 hours a day was be gangsters. You know, they were smart. Larry was probably the smartest because he was a diplomat. He was a diplomat on it. It was well respected. I mean, Larry was well respected by everybody, every family, every crew. Joey was feared by everybody because he was off the wall. You know, he didn't take no shit from nobody. And Bless was the young one, so he just followed along with everybody. You know, getting schooled. Listen, they were, you know, they were young and they were renegades and they didn't like what was going on around them. They did a lot of work. You know, Joey and I think Larry was in that Albert Anastasia killing. So I tell the story all the time that Joe Pafaci never liked Joe Gallo. Never liked him. He thought he was a cowboy. He thought he was uncontrollable, and but he needed guys like that in the family, you know. And he went through the ranks, and he got straightened out because of the Albert killing. Larry, Joey, and Carmine Persico got straightened out on that Albert Anastasia killing, and that's how these guys got made.
Can you tell us about the killing?
Well, you know, I wasn't there. I was a young guy, but I mean, I sat with Joey and Larry, and they don't talk about it, but they always make remarks or say things, or you know. And I sat there many times with Larry, and someone would bring up something about the Albert pertaining to why they got straightened out, or pertaining to Joe Pafaci, and they'll say, I went and killed Albert, but they said that's why they got straightened out, because of the Albert killing. So they worked around it, because no one tells you, you know, I shot that guy in the head, you know, unless it's pertaining to you and it's a reason. But they always came out, and they were always respected for that too. And then the conversation is that Pafaci didn't like Joe Gallo, you know, and he had to straighten him out because of that killing. And that was a conversation why Joey got straightened out. It was because of the Albert killing. And that's why I know that they did the hit on Albert, because the argument is that some other crew did it. And being there and sitting with these guys and them talking around it, saying that Joey got straightened out and Larry got straightened out because of that, they wouldn't sit down and talk that way unless it happened. You don't say, you can't sit around and say you killed somebody and take credit for it. You don't do that. It's not, you don't do that. So that's the only reason why I know that they were involved in that.
What did the newspapers say? What was the story that the public heard?
I don't think that they really knew that it was the Gallo brothers who really did it. No one came up and really. I mean, they got questioned in it, but they never got indicted or never got picked up really on that killing. They didn't know. I think to this day they don't know. The law really don't know who they're killing. I mean, by now with all the talk and hearsay and all the informants and everything like that, they know. But at the time they got called in and and that was it. They were ordered to do what they had to do. There was no, they didn't get any, trouble or any. What do you call it? Trouble from the other families because they were ordered to do it. They're soldiers, so they had no headache for it. So they just did what they had to do, and that's how they got straightened out.
Where did it take place?
Barber shop in the city was one of those famous hotels. I can't think of what hotel it was. It was a barber shop in the city. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Joe Jelly, Larry Gallo, Albert Gallo, and Carmine Persico.
Okay.
Did that hit? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and that's how Treatham got straightened out. Why Joe Jelly didn't get straightened out, we don't know yet, because Joe Jelly got killed not too long after that. So I never met Joe Jelly. He should have, because he was probably the worst killer out of all the Treatham, But I don't know why. Sometimes you keep guys down. You don't want to, move them up because you lose power over them. And I think Jelly was just a stone killer, and that's why. He didn't get moved up the ladder. And then, like I said, he got killed. He was young, too, so he got killed early.
So tell us about your father, Ricky.
Ricky was went to high school, graduated high school, went to little college, got thrown out of college, went into the Army, came out of the Army career, he started boxing, right? Started boxing, and And what happened was Tony Bender, Scrollo, and Anthony, I think Cafolo, found him in one of the boxing clubs. And they owned clubs in the city. They owned Peppermint Lounge or the Golden Eagle. They had a couple of restaurants in the city at the time. And they needed bouncers. So Tony Bender asked Ricky if he wanted to bounce at one of the restaurants, at one of the bars. And so Ricky wound up bouncing for Tony Bender, which is a Genovese family. Okay. And there was a fight in the place one night. There was an argument in the place one night, and Ricky wound up knocking out Emil Griffith, the boxer, middleweight boxer. Yeah. Knocked him out 2 punches, too. Yeah. Because what happened was he was there drinking, and, it's the 50s. It was late 50s. And Emil was talking to a white girl. And in those days, it wasn't the, most common thing. And I think one of the guys said to go over there and tell him to stop and stuff like that. Just didn't look right or whatever. And Ricky went over there, and Emil Griffith said something back to him, and Ricky just knocked him out 2 punches. He wound up going on to be, I think Emil went on to be a middleweight champion after that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And funny thing about it is because he wound up killing somebody he wound up killing somebody in the ring because the guy grabbed his ass before that, called him gay.
Oh,
Emil Griffith wind up the story that he was gay in the first place.
Right.
Now, they say it's true. I don't know. But it was just probably a friendly conversation there. But at the time, in the 50s, it just didn't go. And he won. So Tony Bender saw that. Ricky had good hands and stuff like that. And so when the Gallo brothers came over, Joey and Larry was coming to New York because Joey and Larry was trying to do a breakaway from Joe Pafaci. They weren't happy with Joe Pafaci. So they were going around to other guys and other families, other captains, and getting support, to go speak to Pafaci to tell them, hey, you got to give these guys the earn, They did work already. I mean, but they weren't earning because Joe Pafaci was a big, bad boss. He didn't make anybody earn unless you're close to him, his family, his brother-in-law, his, brothers, sons, but everybody around him didn't earn well. And he was asking for dues every month. And these guys were, in those days, everybody was earning real big. And they had to pay $25 a month dues. And they were just like fed up with
It's
that.
like a tithe to the church.
Yeah, a lot of guys didn't like that. But, you know, the close old guys that were with Pafacci, they would make earning and they would turn it in. But the newer guys, younger guys, you know, they were like cowboys and they weren't too happy with that. So Joey and Larry wanted to break away, but they wanted them to just talk to Pafacci and tell him to spread the wealth. And they were going around, Tony Bender and those guys, and they were just trying to get support. And what happened was that it just wasn't working, and that's why the Gallo brothers wound up kidnapping everybody. And it goes to the story how they kidnapped 4 or 5 guys, and they were trying to force Pafacci to make a deal then, and Pafacci made a deal to get the guys out, and then put a debt, put all the guys, hit on all the Gallo guys that were involved. And that's how the war started after that.
All right.
That's how
And
but just before that, there was an argument because they wanted to kill Frankie Schatz. Frankie Schatz was a big bookmaker. And during the argument, when they were trying to break away, Frankie Schatz was back in the Gallo brothers. And he wasn't turning in some money to Pafacci, so it was big money earner. Gave Pafacci millions and millions and millions. It was back about 50,000 or something like that, but gave millions and millions and millions. And because he was back in the gallows, he had Frankie Schatz killed. They went to Joey, and they wanted Joey to kill Frankie Schatz, and Joey said, "No, I'm not killing him." So an argument started there because they refused to hit. So they wound up grabbing Carmine Persico and Joe Jelly to kill Frankie Schatz, and they wound up killing Frankie Schatz. They wanted to kill his son, Anthony Abbey, Frankie Schatz's son, and he was very close with Joey and Larry. So they came down to wanted Joey to turn Anthony in, and Joey said no. He was in a club. So a couple of guys came in, and they said, "Well, Joey wants him, Pafacci." He said, "Nah, we ain't giving him up. Tell him to go see what we got to go see." And that was it. And the breakaway started right there because he refused that order. They hit Abbey, and then they really started feuding with each other, because they won't answer to nothing then, and that's when all the shooting started and all that stuff between Gallo and Joe Pafacci.
And this was during the President Street days.
This is just the beginning. Like I would say, it's late '60s, '61.
Yeah.
They killed Frankie Schatz, I think, late '59, and late '50, I think. So I think it was early '60 is when it came after Abbey, his son. So I think it was like January, February, March of '61 is when they really started feuding between Joey's crew from President Street and Joe Pafacci. And then it escalated from there. There were 2 years. I think '61, '62. By '63, it was over. But those 3 years, they really started feuding.
And that was South Brooklyn, as it was known back then, South Brooklyn.
That's the only I know of is South Brooklyn.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
or Red Hook.
Red Hook.
Red
right.
Hook is South Brooklyn. Yeah. That's
Nowadays, Carroll Gardens, Boerum Hill, Cobble Hill. It's hard to do.
There's so many names now. Yeah. There's so many names. Yeah. If anybody asks where you're from, you say I'm South Brooklyn, they know where you're from. Or Red Hook.
Right.
We said South Brooklyn because we were just used to that.
Yeah.
But it did break in the probably after 40 or something like that. They put the highway up, and Red Hook, and we call it our side of the Hamilton Avenue. It split. The Hook was the other side of Hamilton Avenue.
Right. The BQE, Brooklyn Queens Expressway.
They split
All right.
it,
Yeah.
and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And so we would say we were from South Brooklyn, and the guys say we were actually in the Hook, but it was all Red Hook prior to that. So that's where they knew you from.
And this is President Street, a block
President
or two
Street.
from the piers.
It was right. It was President was between Columbia and Van Brunt. It was a block off the
Yeah.
piers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was on the South Brooklyn side.
Right.
Of the Hook, of the highway.
Yeah.
So it's 2 blocks long. Hick Street is the park, the highway, and it's split. That split the 3 blocks, the water side, and and the Gallos wound up having a lot of family on President. That's why they wound up on President Street.
Yeah.
There was a lot of family, and a lot of crew members lived on President Street. Those two blocks was a ton of guys wind up in the family, happened to be living on President Street. That's why they wound up. In those days, they bought a few buildings. It was cheap then.
You could buy buildings.
5,000, 6,000. So I know Larry bought a building at 51 President. I thought Larry's mother bought a building at 51 President or 49 President. And then they wound up across the street. They wound up buying another building in the early days. Then Armando the midget had a longshoreman luncheonette there, coffee shop. Then Roy had a building there, all from the block. Then Jimmy Lefty had another little sandwich joint from the longshoreman days. But they all serviced the longshoremen's there. That's what those little luncheonettes were for. And then he had the florist there that wound up being Andy Gargiulo. He wound up being a big bookmaker. So that block was really heavily loaded with guys involved at one point.
Mondo was that's got to be the funniest story with the lion.
Mondo, see the funny thing down here, Armando is cousins with Frankie Liano, Punchy. Punchy was a character in the original Gallo family, the Gallo crew, and I think Punchy's father and Armando's father, I think, brothers, so they're cousins, first cousins. And Armando's father had the store on President Street. So Armando was born on President Street. And the father died. Armando's only midget. Everybody else was,
Regular size.
So, and Armando was very close with Joey Gallo. Very, very close. Very close. I'm telling you, like, you couldn't separate them. They were really good, really close. So, and he had one of the luncheonettes on President. So he was very, very close with Joey, and being Punchy's cousin, nobody ever bothered him and stuff like that. But he was always on the block. Everybody knew it was very close knit. No one was going to bother you anyway. Yeah. I don't know if he went to school. I don't think so. I don't remember Mondo going to school, but I was young, and I met Mondo when I was like 5. So yeah, it's funny when you're sitting next to a guy that's taller than. But he was always nice, very loving guy, but he was a bad drunk. He used to like to drink, nasty drunk.
Right. When you're that size, it doesn't take a lot to get you.
Nasty drunk. Nasty drunk, and he loved blondes. Tall blondes. Wouldn't go near a midget. Yeah. And blondes loved him. Tall girls used to come to the club all the time. They used to love Mondo. Mondo had more girls than we did at the time. We used to sit there as young guys and say, how come you got all the girls? They loved him. Yeah, they loved him. But he wound up living pretty old for a midget. When they knocked down President Street, he wound up the block into another guy's club. And then he died, pretty old for his, I don't know exactly how old he was, probably in the 60s. Yeah. He died. But he was Punchy Liano's cousin, so, everybody loved Armando, Mondo was a number taker. That's what he wound up doing. He wound up taking numbers. Mondo, when we got the Lion down President Street,
Cleo.
When we got Cleo, they gave it to Armando to watch. And he was small. The Lion was small.
And we're talking a real live lion.
It wasn't a lion. It was one of those other species of lions, And Mondo used to keep it in the club on a chain. And then when it got a little big, he used to put it down the basement. And he used to go clean it up. And he used to walk it around before it got too big. Just put a collar and walking around.
So we're talking a midget walking on the block with a lion on a leash.
Which was half his size at the time. And it got too big, and then they got rid of it. But he used to put it in the basement at night, at times. And when Joey was around and somebody owed them money and stuff like that, they used to push Armando used to go down. Joey used to bring him to the doorway of the basement, and Armando used to go downstairs and rattle the chain. And we used to rattle the chain, and the lion used to run towards the stairs to come up.
Yeah.
Not to do nothing, but it was a nice lion. It didn't bite or nothing like that. But the people used to get scared. They don't know.
Yeah.
And they used to really get nervous, and they used to pay their bill and whatever they had to do, and until it got too big, and we had to get rid of it.
Yeah.
We had to get rid of it. I was small. I saw it, but I didn't. I saw it when Mondo had it in the club with him. He used to lay down next to him and stuff like that.
Feline, yeah, nice cat.
And then between that, we had Mondo had a dog, a big shepherd. I think it was called King. Big shepherd. He used to walk around the neighborhood and he used to collect his numbers, the slips. He used to put it in the collar of the dog collar, because if the cops stopped him, he would have it in his pockets. The cops didn't know. Right. He used to keep it in the dog collar. He had a big dog collar, dog collar. And he used to slip the little slips, number slips. You know, everybody's numbers used to take 2, 3, 5. You used to slip it in there. So if the cops stopped him, he wouldn't get pinched for taking numbers. So he used to keep it in there. So he used to walk around the neighborhood with a big dog and stick it in there. Yeah, he was a character. Everybody loved Mondo. Mondo was very, very well liked. Yeah. My wife, when I was dating her, the first time she came down President Street, what happened? I met a girl on Court Street, and it was right before the war broke out in late '72, after Joey got killed. And what happened? A couple of months after that, we wound up getting into another argument with the Colombos again, and because I was young for the first one, but the Colombo one I went through the second one, and my mother, I wound up having to stay in on President Street because everybody was getting shot at, and there was a lot of things going on. And I was young, and they said stay on the block. So I had to stay on the block for like 6 months on President Street. We had an apartment there on President Street. So I met a girl just before that happened on Court Street in a pizzeria, Sally's Pizzeria, and then I had to stay on the block, so I had no contact with her. My mother came down one time to visit my father and me because we had to stay on the block, and she turned around and said, "Didn't you meet some girl?" I said, "Yeah, I met some girl. What's her name?" I said, "Boom. Where she live?" Boom. So my mother never met the girl, knocks on the girl's door, says, "You met my son Frankie boy?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, I'll take you, go see him." Right? Now, she's young. I think she was 15, right? Wow. So, and to get on President Street at the time, they had the police there. They had a police barricade on the corner. It was the pizza squad. They were watching us. That's why we had to stay on the block. Not allowed to move around at the time. Wow. Everybody was getting shot and all kinds of things going on. So they pulled up, and you had to park outside the block, and you had to walk to the police barrier, and there was a cop on the corner, and they asked you where you're going. So my mother said, "I'm going to Roy's Club," or something like that. And they would let you through the barricade to come in. And my mother I was in Roy's Club, and it was Blast had a club across the street.
Right.
So they would I would call it the Big Boys Club, was across the street. Yeah. And we would stay with all the young guys would stay in Roy's Club. And she brought her in there, and I go, "What are you doing here?" And my mother didn't tell me. And she goes, "Oh, your mother picked me up, boom." And she sat at a couch with us, and we talked, and Roy was there, and very nice. She was very nervous. She knew about it, but what we were doing and stuff like that, but not too much about it. She's a young girl from the neighborhood. And who comes walking in the door? She was sitting next to me. Is Armando. Armando a midget comes running in the place, walks over, kisses me, and turns around and kisses her, right? Now she's looking at me, I'm looking at her, and who's that? I said, "It's Armando," you know? And she goes, "Okay." After Armando comes in, we're sitting there, "You want a glass of wine?" She was young. She said, "Yeah, I have a glass of wine." We were drinking already, you know. And she goes, "Okay, I have a glass of wine." We gave her a glass of wine. And who comes in? Bobby Borriello comes in. He's he's 6'5", big goon. And what happens was all the guys that were in Blasters Club winds up coming over to Laura's Club, knowing that Frankie Boy's got his girlfriend's there. So all came into bus chops. Right. And so they all come and introduce themselves and stuff like that. Man, you got a tribe of these big guys. They were pretty big guys and very rough looking, and they spoke really gingerilla. So, you know, they weren't no college guys. So, and she sat there, and all of a sudden I look at her, and you see her shaking like a leaf. She's just shaking. Everybody was very nice to her. I mean, pleasant, but she was. And afterwards, years later, she turned around, she goes, "That was the most frightening day of her life," she says.
Really?
Yeah, she says she didn't know she said it was just frightening to meet all those people, especially when you read about them in the newspaper.
Right.
You know, the thing she knew about them was, you know, just newspaper clippings. And these guys were all in newspapers, like, who's got arrested for a shooting? Who got arrested for this? Who got arrested for that? So, you know, she was really, really petrified at the time. Yeah. And that's how after the first time I saw her, I wound up meeting her.
Wow.
Seeing her again.
And you were talking about in your books about the ladies would come to the block to check, to check it out.
Girls, girls love guys involved with in mafia.
It's it
They love it. They
the
just-
love of the danger.
Yeah. So girls used to come down the block left and right. I mean, we'd sit down there and there's 2-3 girls come in, 2-3 girls come in, 2-3 girls. Don't even know them. I mean, someone knew them, but they would just come flock down there every night. I used to go in the club and there was 5-6 girls hanging around and they were very, very friendly.
Nice.
And very pretty at the time. So. But again, we were young. Everybody was pretty,
Right.
Yeah. And they were all older than us because we were the younger guys there. Don't forget, I was 15, hanging out doing that, and the girls were 20, 21. They were all, they weren't young girls. They were all older girls, and they tend to keep you company and be friends with you.
But even you're writing about Liza Minnelli, you'd hang out with the Charlie's Angels.
Everybody came down. Every weekend. One celebrity would be in the neighborhood. I mean, Tony Bennett used to come down. Don't forget, we were Jim Roselli's agent, so Roselli was down all the time with us. I got friendly with Sammy Davis Jr. I used to go drink with Sammy Davis Jr. Hunts Hall used to come down all the time to the from Al Bowery Boys. Casey and Sunshine Band guys used to come down. Toady Fields, who was a comedian, came down. Ray Sharkey was down all the time. Frankie Valli was down. Every weekend, someone was coming down talking to somebody about something. So they would sit there and drink with you. Judy Garland came down all the time, but I don't remember her, but she came down all the time because she was good friends with Punchy. Tony Bennett came down. A lot of guys came down. A lot of people came down. A lot of celebrities. Jerry Orbach came down all the time. A lot more. I just can't think who they were. But every weekend, you would find some celebrity there sitting having a drink with us.
It's a life.
So it was, common to see this, So, no one disliked you. It looked like we had a lot of friends.
Right.
And at that time, I was low man on a totem pole. So I was Roy or Louis the Syrian, which was a consigliere at the time. Louis the Syrian used to go, Frankie boy, wow. We need pizzas. Go get pizzas. And I used to have to run and get the pizzas. Or we were there serving them. I would go behind me and Gumbadil and Frankie Bajuto and Coco. We used to go. We were the young guys there. So we would have to go, go behind the bar if they wanted a coffee and make drinks and stuff like that. So we were doing all that.
Like the intern.
Yeah, we were the young guys. So go on the errands and like that. They needed guns. We used to move guns from here to there, pick up numbers, do this. We were the low guys, so we had to do everything. Yeah. That's what you do. Being a young guy. You do that. No one disrespected you, or everybody was very, very, very good to you. Yeah. Especially me being Ricky's son. So I got a little carte blanche there because of being Ricky's son.
Right.
Ricky was Larry's bodyguard from '62 to '68, and then he wound up being Albert's bodyguard till the end. Till they broke up. But so Ricky was really well liked. So I'd get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. Yeah. They wouldn't send me to do nothing bad.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Well, it's all illegal, but not bad.
Does it bother you that a lot of these illegal things, like, I don't know, the sports book, marijuana, are now legal?
It don't bother me, but I just scratch my head on it and saying that I see guys go in jail. I see guys get in big trouble, spend a ton of money, and now it's legal. It's just like you just change the rules in the middle of the middle of the game. I don't think it's fair. I think they should oversee a lot of convictions that are people sitting in jail and stuff like that. Of course, and I think there is committees working on that. If I'm not mistaken, especially with pot and like, I don't think hard drugs, but pot definitely. I think anybody who's sitting in there should be communicated. Their sentencing. But like I said, they're working on that. So things are changing, but. they took things. Well, they learned off us. They took OTB, horse racing, and they made it legal, and they busted it out because they couldn't run it.
Yeah.
We ran it for 100 years. We all made money.
Yeah.
Made big money.
Yeah.
And they took it and they busted it out.
I mean, that's fascinating. Never thought of that way, but it's exactly what happened.
They busted it out because they robbed all the money from it.
Yeah.
The feds got their hands in it, the state got their hands in it, the city got their hands in it, and they just ruined it.
Yeah.
They learned off us, the numbers, the horse racing, and they just learned off the boys how to make money on it. That's what they did. That's what they did.
And they busted up the block too. Can you talk about President Street?
In 1975, they started doing a project in the neighborhood because they said it needed new sewers.
Yeah.
So, and it happened to be President Street.
Just happened to be.
And not up President Street, just that one block.
Right.
And what happened was they were ripping the street up. We were still on the block, but they were ripping the street up. We used to park on the sidewalk. And what happened one night, they had the whole street open, and they said the pumps broke, and the water flooded into the street, in the hole they had in the middle of the street they would have put the sewers in, and it undermined all the buildings, the foundation of all the buildings.
Okay.
So they had to condemn all the buildings. So they went there and they bought everybody out for peanuts.
Yeah.
That were there for 100 years. A lot of families there, from 1800s. And they had to buy everybody out, and they closed the block down. Wow. We knew that it was definitely something wrong.
So you think it was done on purpose?
100%.
Yeah.
Because it was just that block.
Right.
The pumps went, and no one came to turn them on so fast.
Right.
And it was a stronghold. They couldn't get us off that block. That block was like the
epicenter.
Yeah, and they just couldn't get us off it. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 5 clubs and 10. 10.
Right. I mean, we were talking earlier about the map and the book. It's like club after club after club.
Yeah, we had everything down there. So,
Yeah.
and it was a haven. And they said, let's break them up.
Yeah.
And that we firmly believe that they did it purposely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no proof of it, but
no.
I mean, 1 and 2 adds up to 3. And just a sewer on that one block.
Yeah.
Up the block, it doesn't connect from up. Hick Street, Columbia Street, Van Brunt Street. So doesn't the sewer run together? They didn't do between Hicks and Columbia.
Yes.
They didn't open the street up. They just opened up between Columbia and Van Brunt.
Right. What a coincidence.
Yeah, very.
Right.
And then they had it open for a long time. I mean, how long does it take to change the pipes? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the pumps went.
Yeah. Something fishy.
We really think they want to get us off the block, and they did.
Yeah. And so what happened after that?
We got different clubs.
Yeah.
We opened a club on Smith Street. We opened a club on Summit Street, but you don't have that power or that everything together there.
Right.
We had the block. No one came down. It was our block.
Yeah.
It was actually our block.
Yeah.
We just went other places, and then it's not as strong no more. And then it's not as it's not yours. But we had clubs. It didn't stop us from having clubs and all like that. We just had to go other places.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We went to other places. And then we had that war in late 73, 74. We had an internal war with the Gallos, and that really destroyed everything. That after that there was no more. There's no more Gallos after that.
Yeah.
That inner fighting was after Joey got killed. About a year after. So Joey got killed in April of 72. So I would say the beginning of 73. We had an internal war that everybody went to war again and started killing each other again, and that destroyed everything.
What was the outcome of that?
Outcome was 4 or 5 guys dead.
Yeah.
That crew breaking up, going other places.
The Gallo crew.
Yeah. That Gallo crew breaking up, and pretty much everybody went on their own because it really broke the crew up because a lot of guys left. I think 10 guys left out of the crew. I think 5 guys got killed.
Wow.
And then Albert and Punchy wound up going with Chin. Got released from the Colombo family. They released. Actually, Carmine finally released them. because that crew was always a pain in the ass.
So
to
the
them.
Gallos were under the
Colombo family.
they're under the Colombo family.
That's right. What happened was, after Joey and Larry did that first war, it all settled down in the end of 63. Joey Gallo went to jail. Larry made a peace deal with Joe Colombo, and just kept the peace. Colombo left them alone. Let those Gallo guys on Predator Street do what they want. They have to hand up to Joe Colombo, but leave them alone. Let them down there. They're doing the docks. They're doing whatever the hell they're doing, but leave them alone. So they left the Gallo guys alone. That crew. They left it. It's a crew in the Colombo family,
Right.
but leave them alone.
Yeah.
So they left them alone. So they pretty much let the Gallo guys just do what they want. You know what I mean? And when Larry died, Albert took over. Joey Gallo never saw Joe Colombo as the boss. He never recognized it because Joe Colombo was one of the guys they kidnapped in the early '60s. So, and he didn't believe he should be boss at all. So he never recognized it. So when Larry died, he's in jail now, Joe. So Joey never acknowledged Joe Colombo as the boss. Never did that. So then Larry made the peace deal, and they were functioning the Gallo crew on their own. And then Larry died, so Albert had to take over. And Albert didn't want no trouble with Joe Colombo, so he kept real quiet. When Joey got out of jail in '71, he came out pissed. He didn't recognize Joe Colombo at all as the boss, and he said, "We're on our own. We're not part of Colombo's at all." So he just broke away and said, "That's it. We'll go to war." And that's what happened. That year that Joey was in the street, all we did was argue with Joe Colombo's family. More guys got killed, again. And then Joey winds up getting killed. Albert winds up taking over again because Joey's dead now. And about 6 months into Albert being the head of the Gallo family crew, there was some deceit in the family, and they didn't want to be there no more. So they either wanted someone else to take over that crew, to be head of that crew, or they were going to go back to Joe Colombo's Carmine Perzo's crew.
Yeah.
Or some skipper in that family. But what happened was they had all their business was intertwined. They owned clubs together. They owned pot deals, whatever they had, numbers. They were all, and they started arguing who's taking it. That's why they started shooting each other.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And the funny thing was, all these guys that shot each other all grew up together, all from the neighborhood.
Right.
They all from the neighborhood. They all grew up as kids together. They all came into the Gallo crew together, and they wanted to, and that's what they wanted. In '73, they started shooting each other. And after that settled down, after I think 4 or 5 guys got killed, Punchy got shot, Louis the Syrian, both got shot, but they lived. And what happened was they going back and forth shooting each other, and they were missing each other, and who got shot 2 times but lived, who got shot 3 times but lived, And what happened was Blastmade went to Punchy was very close with Chin, and said they got to pull away from the Colombo family. So Chin made a deal with Carmine and said, release this whole crew. And what they did, they all got released. '74, they got released, late '74. And they went with, whoever wanted went with Chin. So Blast and Punchy and a few guys, my father, all went with Chin. Other guys got released, and they went back to the Colombos. And
they're free agents, essentially. Yeah.
Or they stood with they're with the Colombos, because that's the family you're with. They're a different crew, but they're actually in the Colombo family. So they just went with another skipper.
Gotcha.
In the family. And what happened was, again, there was an argument, and they wound up shooting Punchy Punchy Iliano and Louis the Syrian. And then they wound up killing Steven Cirillo. And they made and it was the guys that broke away because they were still arguing. Even though they broke away, they went to Colombos and Blast went under the wing of Chin. They were still feuding over money and territory and stuff like that. So Blast made a stink to Chin and to the Colombos. And the Colombos called in two of the guys that were head of that crew that were fighting against, that were doing the shooting. And they didn't come in. So what happened was the Gallos, who was left over there, got the permission to do what they want. And they wound up killing one of the good friends of ours, but even though they broke up, but they were still friends and somehow, because we were still talking to them, just that they broke away and went over there. But it was Chiraz, Jerry Basciano, who was very instrumental in the first war in 61, 62, like that. He was with Joey, and he was muscle for them, and he was really close, but he wound up breaking away. Well, they wound up killing him on Union Street. And this guy named Mooney, he was the only made guy in the family at the top, between 61 and 71, 72, was this guy named Mooney. And Mooney was disliked by everybody. My father went to kill him in 65, and Larry stopped him at the Coco Poodle on Coney Island Avenue. Larry stopped him. Larry told Ricky, he goes, you might not like him, he goes, but he's with me, and he likes me. And Ricky's okay, and they didn't kill him. Anyway, he gets called in that 73, 74, like that, and he doesn't come in again. And Colombos tell him that they killed Chiraz, that everything's all right now, everything's straightened out, to come in. He came in, and they killed him. They killed Mooney too. Wow. And that ended everything. That ended all the wars, it ended all the arguments, and everybody went on their way, and whoever they went with, who went with Chin, who wound up with Gotti, Bobby Bolivar went with Gotti. We wound up with Chin for a few years, and then we get released, and we wound up in Jersey with Sammy the Plumber.
Okay, the Cavalcanti.
Yeah, we wound up there because Jimmy Rotundo was friends with my father. He gets killed in 88, and his son gets straightened out, Anthony. Louis Trisi and comes down, and they needed somebody to mentor him because he was young, coming out of college. And they asked my father to mentor him, and that's why Ricky wound up with the Jersey, because he wound up mentoring Anthony Rotunda.
Gotcha.
And we wound up for, I think, 1990 to 99 with Anthony until they all went bad and they all got arrested.
So you said your dad at one point was passed over for being made. Did he ever get made?
You know, he refused it twice. He refused it with the Genovese family. He didn't want to be obligated. His philosophy was this. He goes, right now, I'm with Blast under the Genovese wing. He goes, but I'm not obligated. They can't tell me what to do. It was real Machiavelli type, my father.
Yeah.
He goes, once I get strained out, I can't refuse nothing.
Okay.
They tell me to do, I got to do it. Right now, they can ask me to do something, and I can yes, no, do you a favor, and no repercussions. But once you get strained out, you're obligated. That's it. Okay. So when they made Blast, Punchy, and Ricky was all to be made up. I think 76. Ricky passed it. 76 says nope, thank you, no. Punchy and Blast got straightened out, and then in 99, he got put up with the Jersey again, and it was Ricky, me, and two other friends got put up for 99. He passed it again. He told them no. So Christmas in 99, it was supposed to be me and two other guys. They're still alive. I don't want to talk about them.
Yeah.
But, we got put up to be made in 99, and those guys all got arrested just before Christmas, and never happened.
Wow. So you were supposed to be made in the Cavalcanti family.
Yes, 99.
Wow.
Yeah, we were all prepped. That was it. Christmas 99.
Wow. And then what happened?
Every Anthony Rotunda, and it was our skipper at the time. He gets pinched in '99. He's in jail. It was I think it was early 2001. He comes out of circulation. They pull him out of circulation. When you get pulled out of circulation, it means you ratted. So we get worried that he ratted.
Oh.
So now we're all sitting, waiting to see what happens out of that. But he winds up ratting because Vinny Oceans was the boss of the Cavalcanti family at the time. He flips. Two of the upper echelon guys flip. They were bosses. And what happened, all those trials went down. And
So the decimated.
60 guys got
Wow.
convicted. Anthony winds up going to the witness protection program. And they never came down. We get subpoenaed, but they never came after us for any crimes because Anthony never testified against his crew. His deal was, I'll testify against me and up,
And up. They wanted the big guys.
but nothing down.
Wow.
And so they never came after us. Ricky did get subpoenaed because this guy named Fritzy gets pinched, and he asks Ricky to be a character witness for him on his trial. And the feds find out. He goes, "Why don't you tell us about Ricky?" He goes, "You didn't ask me about nothing to tell you about." But the trial was because Fritzy came to us in like '97, something like that. He was a Genovese guy. It says that he had a guy in the DA's office that told him that there's a big investigation with Anthony and that Jersey crew. So he met us on Court Street and told us that there was an investigation. What happens when Anthony flipped, he had to tell them that. So they pinch Fritzy. So Fritzy, in trial, when he's going to trial, asks Ricky to be a witness because he was there. So they went back there. The feds went back there and says, "Why don't you tell us Ricky was there? You're supposed to tell us." So, but he was just there as a witness for Fritzy. So we get subpoenaed again, but they threw it all out. So and Fritzy gets convicted anyway.
Yeah.
But and then Anthony, wanted to go in a program, and everybody went in their own way. Jersey crew never called us down because we were a Brooklyn crew in a Jersey family. They were so disarray that they didn't know who was who. I think it was like 5 big up echelon guys went bad from Jersey. Then Anthony goes bad, and then they go, "Who are we gonna go speak to over there in the Brooklyn crew?" We don't know what they're doing, the guys in Jersey. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know who's going bad. We don't know if they'll be investigated. Just stay away from them. There's no
Right.
talking.
Yeah.
So they never come knocking. And
Everybody got spooked.
and then then they broke away. Then the Brooklyn crew got released from the Jersey crew.
And this was 99, 2000.
2001.
And then what happened?
We went to Florida. Everybody went their own way, and that was it. We never, kind of do nothing with nobody no more. Nobody came knocking, and we didn't come knocking at their door.
Yeah.
Forget, we always had our own business. We had the pornographic business. We had other businesses, so we were always eating. So we didn't need to call nobody or to answer to nobody.
Right. You're
So-
making your own way. Yeah.
Yeah. I was lucky that this all happened before Christmas because if I would have if it was after Christmas '99, then I could have been picked up for part of with RICO.
Right.
And that would have been part of the administration.
The federal racketeering.
If I would have got strained out. This
okay.
happened just before that. So
Wow.
we got lucky. Yeah.
So, I mean, in many respects, not being made turned out to be
Oh yeah,
a
I
good
would
thing.
be here today.
You'd be in jail.
Because I would have got. Then they would have locked you in as being part of the organization. As a soldier. No, but as a May guy in there, then you would have had a bigger headache. So it didn't happen, and we no headache.
For the best.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the benefit of being made?
Well, made you get a crew. You get people come to give you money. You get
Right.
if I'm the main guy, the skipper in a crew, and you got guys around you, they're gonna pay up to you. You earn a lot of different ways.
Right. So
And also you get the privilege of sit downs. You get you can do a lot of things that a regular soldier can't do.
right.
You get the recognition of being part of the administration.
So tell us about we were talking earlier. Tell us about the pornography business and
Fucking think
that cigar. I've never seen a cigar
what a
go
piece of shit. I can't believe what a piece of shit cigar. And it's not cheap either. I can't believe that. Porno business. My father got involved with Al Goldstein, 1969. Goldstein was starting the Screw magazine up. He got a distributor. Distributor was robbing him. Bobby Bongiovanni, Bobby Darrow, and Peter Greek DeNapolis knew somebody that knew Al Goldstein. And they went to him and said, "You need a distributor?" And the person went to Goldstein and says, "We got a distributor for you. We weren't distributors. We didn't have nothing. We had no trucks, no nothing." Yeah. And they made a deal with Goldstein to put the magazine. Got rid of the guy that was robbing them. And we started the Astro News up. And wound up being the distributor from 1969 to 2003 or 4.
wow. Okay.
All because Goldstein was coming up with this new paper called Screw, and the distributor that they got was not doing the right thing. They were afraid of it because with the it was very touchy there with the what's the word? Sex papers. They weren't socially accepted yet, and there was crimes involved, smut, and they were afraid of getting arrested for something in the paper, so they weren't doing the right job. So we got rid of them, and we did it for the 20, 25 years, whatever it was.
Wow.
And we wound up being the distributor.
And when did you get out of the life?
1999.
That was the time.
Well, actually, 2001 when Anthony went bad, because we were still involved until Anthony flipped.
Yeah.
The day Anthony flipped, it was over. That's where he exactly walked out. I think it was January, February 2001.
How'd you feel about that?
At the time, like I said, we were earning. We were doing what we were doing anyway.
Yeah.
We had the newspaper business, so that was our main income.
Right.
Anything else we were doing on the side, we were doing anyway.
Yeah.
At the moment when it happened, we were just relieved or worried about repercussions of them going bad, waiting to get indicted or picked up for something that they're going to write us about.
Right.
But they never did that.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much, it was a comfort,
Yeah, it's almost a relief.
Yeah,
it sounds
relief.
like. Yeah.
Not getting picked up for, because they know your crimes.
Right.
He's a boss.
Right.
He knows if he sent you on it or he knows what you do on your own. No, it was more relief. So my father turned around and said, they don't come knocking, don't answer. Don't call them.
Yeah.
And they never came knocking.
And what you were doing at the time was above board anyway. So you're making
Astro
money.
was legal at the
Yeah.
time, so
Yeah.
we just did what we had to do and not answer nobody. No one came knocking.
Yeah.
And that was 2001, and no one came knocking.
Yeah.
I mean, we stood friends with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and probably did things with people that we did anyway, but you did it as an individual, as a friend.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Yeah.
but not with nobody or obligated to nobody.
Both you and your father didn't get killed. Didn't wind up in jail. But you read about all the guys in the Gallo crew, and almost every one of them, they're dying in jail or dying under gunfire.
We're lucky.
How did you?
Ricky did a couple short-term bids. He did one for the gun, and he did another one for a drug pinch. And he did the two, I think, year and a half.
But
That's
short
all he did.
stints.
That's it.
Yeah.
I had 11 arrests, and I beat them all.
Wow.
I beat them all. Guns, drugs, assaults, a bunch of shit. Man. I beat them all.
Wow.
All 11 of them I beat. I think one I had to pay restitution, and then when the guy found out that we were with the Gallos, he didn't want the money.
He didn't want the money. Yeah,
so we never had to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only one. It was the only conviction I got was pay restitution.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the only conviction I got. All the other ones, ROR or dismissed.
Wow.
Yeah, all 11 of them were dismissed. Yeah. Gun charges, drug charges. I was facing one that went to trial on a 4 A1 felonies, 25 to life. Got that thrown out after 19 months. I beat that one.
How'd that happen?
You kept your mouth shut and let them do their job.
Yeah.
And if you don't rat, my father said, just don't say nothing and don't rat nobody out. And he goes, we'll beat them.
Yeah.
We'll beat them.
Takes
we beat
nerves
them.
of steel to do it.
But it was nerve wracking.
Yeah.
I had 2 little children at the time.
Yeah.
And then they over indict, and then they,
Right.
they try to throw everybody in one package,
Yeah.
You just
So
hold.
you beat the game.
Yeah, that's it. You keep your mouth shut, and everybody else keeps their mouth shut. Trust me, you'll beat this. Unless they catch you with a smoking gun in your hand,
Right.
They ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
You really got nothing. They got the people who actually did the direct sales or stuff like that. Yeah, they got it, but they were pinching everybody for if you spoke to them, if you knew about it, if it was your place. You know what I mean? And then, but if you keep your mouth shut and I don't know, and you'll beat these things. Gun charges. I mean, they found guns on us, and there was 5 of us. You can't, it wasn't on our person, but they found it. And if all 5 of us say that's not ours, and no one comes up and say he did it, that'll throw it out because they can't put one gun on 5 guys. Yeah. It's stuff like that, assaults, scores. They found us with a truck on a score one time after the fact. But no, I wasn't in that truck.
Yeah.
And the other people said, I didn't see him in that truck. And they arrest you and do all that. We know you did it. We started that. Okay.
Yeah.
And you keep your mouth shut and you try and you beat it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only one that I had to pay restitution is because the guy we hit came in and said he did it.
Right.
If he didn't come in and say I did it, I would have beat that one too.
Yeah.
You just got to be quiet. You can't be afraid, and you can't you can't rat.
Yeah.
You shut up. And like I said, if they don't get a smoking gun on you, half these the last 20 years, guys that got pinched, and they gave you up because they'll corroborate something they know. If they don't corroborate it, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
And you were wild as a young man. You write about shooting up the lights of a restaurant that was closing, and
we were bad. The alcohol is a killer. And short temper.
Yeah.
And short tempers, alcohol, and then being with Joey Gallo, goes to your head.
Right.
It does go to your head. You get a lot of respect for that. You get a lot of stuff, and then then being with these guys and being brought up by these guys, you see what they do, and you just what do you call it? As being young, you just emulate it, you know what I mean? And you would see what they do, and you would think that's what you had to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're in a bar, and somebody says something wrong to you, you would, what? And you would have to react to it. And it was always violent, so you're just like, what do you call it? You're trained to do that, mentally, When you're around, forget, I'm a little boy, I grew up under Joey Gallo, Larry Gallo, Albert Gallo, Joe Schapani, Bobby Bongiovanni, and my father. My father killed 6-7 people. Bobby killed 5-6 people. You know what I mean? These guys were killers. You know? But they were funny in their ways. They had rules. They had regulations. They had mannerisms.
Yeah.
And that's what as a boy. That's what you're gonna get. And they instill you with these things. They tell you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can do this. You can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't act this way. You can't do this way. I used to get in all trouble because I drank too much. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't show it's a weakness. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I said, but we're only going to jail. I didn't mean to get drunk. I said, it was the alcohol.
It's the whiskey talking, not me.
The whiskey wasn't me. Baby, you can't do that. You can't drink and drive. You can't carry a gun on you. What the fuck's wrong? Excuse me. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
But you're young and wild, and you think you can do what you want to do, and that's what happens. That's why you do these crazy shooting this up and doing arguments and hitting and fighting and, that's all extracurricular stuff. That's not part of what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's why we're always in trouble.
That's what gets you into trouble.
Or getting yelled at for some reason, Because really you're supposed to be low key, keep your wits, and go make money.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what you're supposed to do, you know. All this other crazy shit we do is because you alcohol and your mind is just, you know, flooded with all kinds of gangster stuff, and you think who you are and stuff like that, and that's why you get in other troubles, you know. That's what it is. That's what happens, you know. But a funny story is that in '71, Joey Gallo comes into the club. We're in the club. There's about 15 of us in both clubs, and he calls us all over into the Big Boys Club, which is his club. And he goes to me, and he goes to us. He goes, "We're all gonna get made tonight, right?" And Joey makes the whole crew. And me, I'm looking at Gumbarel, and Gumbarel's looking at me. I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I don't know what he's talking about." He goes, "You can't straighten this out." He goes, "Yeah." What happened was Joey was in negotiation with Chin and Carlo Gambino, and they were making a deal that Joey was going to come break away from the Colombos and go in either to the Gambino family or the Genovese family. That's what the talks were. And the deal was Joey was going to make 15 of his guys. So they were doing meetings for weeks in Sullivan Street. And after those meetings were over, Joey came into the club and said, "I negotiated a deal, boom, 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 and I'm making 15 guys." So he made all us that night. But it's not on record. It wasn't sanctioned yet.
Okay.
But then they killed Joey. But
Wow.
he made all 15 of us that night.
Wow.
But it wasn't sanctioned because he got killed and didn't go through the whole thing. But the joke was that Joey made us all in 1971. We all got mad. 15 of us got straightened out in 71. Late 71. No, 72. No, it was 71. Yeah, 71. He straightened us all out. And the joke was that, after we left, is that, Gomez said to me, "You think we really straightened out?" I says, "I don't know, man." And we would say, "Joey's the boss. If he says we're straightened out, we're straightened out." You know what I mean? Because that's how we looked at it.
Right.
Because he was our boss, And we just look at each other and laugh and joke, and it was never recognized because he wound up getting killed.
Yeah. So, I mean, was there a ceremony? What's it like?
Yeah. Joey says, "You're all fucking made."
And that's it.
That's it. Because I'm the boss, you're all fucking made. That's exactly what he said, just like that.
So there's no white smoke coming out of a chip.
There was no burning thing on your hand like that. Joey wasn't like that. Joey nutty. Joey says, "I negotiated. I'm telling you, you're fucking made." Just like that.
Okay.
And exactly what he said. And but it's true. And it's funny because I don't know who told the story, because somebody told a story one time, and I looked, I said, "Wow, I don't know. It had to be somebody that was there at that time." Oh, I think it was Pete the Greek Annapolis. He knew about it, and I think he wrote about it many, many, many years ago. So there is something written about that happened somewhere. It was strange, It was strange. We still laugh about it. Not many of us left. I mean, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Except me and Gumbaril. Albert's alive. He's 95.
Wow.
And that's it.
Kid Blast is still alive.
Yeah, he's only one. Everybody's dead.
Where's he living?
Staten Island, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's the only one from that whole era is alive.
Wow.
Everyone's dead except me and Anthony. Out of all the young guys, they were all dead.
Wow.
Even the young guys. Me and Anthony are the veterans now. Where I'm 69.
Yeah.
And Anthony's 69. Otherwise, everyone else is dead. Who died of junk? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of guys died of drugs and most of them died of drugs or something. I mean.
And how did Kid Blast thread the needle?
Smart as a fuck. He was just a smart guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gangster, but smart. You know what I mean? He's just smart, and no one gave him up. No one around him gave him up. A lot of things went down that we can't speak about yet because he's still alive.
Right.
But he was just smart.
Yeah.
He's smart, and no one gave him up.
Wow.
You know what I mean? There was a couple of things that are still out there open. But out there open, it's still hearsay or something like that, or whatever. I still don't talk about it at all. But if he dies, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because then, he can't get no repercussions from it.
Yeah.
Could you now? I doubt it. Anybody can say something, tell a story, but I won't say nothing until he's dead.
Yeah.
But he was just smart. He was a good businessman.
Yeah.
He kept low key, didn't go out drinking.
Right, doing something right to live to 95. Sign
didn't
me
go to
up.
parties, didn't go to meetings, didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
He wouldn't go to a meeting if he had to get called in. Nope, I'm not going. And tell why, and he get passed for it. You know what I mean? Stood very low key, and lived an old man.
Yeah.
I haven't spoke to him in many, many years. When I started doing the magazine, we really couldn't bother each other anymore because I became into the limelight, and the two don't mix no more.
Yeah.
Then I'm a legitimate guy doing magazines, writing stories and stuff like that about gangster stuff and like that. So we just parted ways.
Yeah.
So
it's been 25 years. I mean, that's beyond the statute of limitations, except for murder, right? And so, I mean, you could freely talk about.
I could do anything except murder.
Yeah.
And that don't go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the two things that's still up in the air, there's no one that's people are right about but have no knowledge about it. I do.
Right. Okay. And so you gotta. Yeah.
I just wait to and not that I participated in it, I just have knowledge in it.
Right. Right.
It clears the air of what really happened.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
You can wait. He's 95. I mean, not that I wish no death on him, but it's going to be. Eventually, he's got to die, and and you just clear up a couple stories. That's
Yeah.
all,
Yeah. You're right at the end of Growing Up Mafia, the President Street Boys. I've never seen a book end this way, and I kind of like it. I appreciate it. After the epilogue, you like the last thing is a big fuck you to the members who flipped. Can you tell us about that and your feelings behind that?
I understand that people got their reasons of doing anything. But my argument is why I don't bother with them. They can do what they want. They did what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's none of my business. But to say it's okay, you broke the rules. You know what I mean? I mean, every rule was made to be broken because every rule was broken. But being there, knowing the assholes we've been all our lives and all the bad things we've done and pulling rank or being nasty and for no reason and then when the shit's the fan, you want to give everybody up. It's okay to be the biggest ass in the world, but when it's time your turn, you want to make excuses and cry about somebody did something to you. After all the things we've done, you want to cry that somebody did something to you. That's what I don't like.
That's fair.
That's fair. You can't kill 19 people and then cry because the guy next to you might be saying something bad about you. That's stuff like that. I find that to be you just gave up.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you learn to if you give somebody up higher than you get a pass. And I don't think that was right.
Yeah.
I never thought that was right. When I got pinched in '82, the DA grabbed me and said, "You're facing 25 to life, 4 counts." He goes, "We got you." You think they got you, because everything they said went down, so they had everything written down. So I turned around and I said to him, "Okay, I see you at trial." That's what you do. Yeah. He says, "Well, if you give your father up and just say that he was the mastermind behind it, you walk. We make a deal, you walk." I looked at him, I said, "See you in trial." I didn't want to do 25 to life. I had 2 little children.
Yeah.
But this is what you do. You did all those bad things, and then to give my father up is the most disrespectful thing you can ever do in the world. Yeah. And then do you have any morals? Do you have any self? I mean, you think you're this big shot because you walk around like a big shot and you have morals. All of a sudden, I'm going to do that. I said, I can never do that. I said, see you at trial. Was I nervous as could be? Of course.
Yeah.
But that's what you do.
Yeah.
You got paid a piper at the end, or you're not the man that you are, or you're supposed to be. And the whole package is it. You can't drop out at the end because it gets too hot. That's what you do. You do all these bad things. You got to pay the piper at the end. Or don't do the bad things.
Right.
These guys are all flipped. They all make excuse of that guy did something wrong, and that's why they flipped.
And that's how they justify it.
They justify it.
But isn't that the life is doing things that are not correct?
Right. So if you're on a murder and you kill somebody on order, that's right? No, because you're part of that life and you have to take an order and you do that.
Yeah.
But that's not right. So if that guy now wants to murder you because you did something wrong or something like that, oh no, I gotta go to the police. I'm gonna run to the police.
Right. Right.
You take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, these guys. Most of these guys that got pinched, that's all podcasters now, and you know all those guys, and they all say that somebody else's fault they went bad. You know,
Right.
But it's okay to all the bad things they did.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I never say that I won't bother with them. But I think they're wrong. You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
you do what you want because their lives. You know, but it's wrong. I just
fair.
think it's wrong.
I mean, you say in the book that all the stories that you've told are about people that are dead.
Everybody's dead.
Yeah.
I never talk about anybody that's alive,
Right.
unless I mention them. The public knowledge.
Yeah.
Of something, but everyone I think I ever wrote about is dead.
Wow.
You know, and I wrote about Carmine Persico before he died, but I never said he did any wrong. I did a historical review on
Right.
him, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which 9,000 other people did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. You're 9001.
Yeah.
Right.
So I never,
Yeah.
said anything wrong about nobody.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever told little secrets about is, with Bobby go killing Chiraz and them because Bobby's dead, Chiraz is dead. I can
Right.
say that.
There you
know
go.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had knowledge of who went on that hit.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I say that. Like Ricky killed Mooney. I know Ricky killed Mooney because I was privy to knowing afterwards, not before.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
But he wanted to kill him in 65. He wanted to kill him in 74. But he waited all the time to kill him because Ricky wanted to kill him from 65.
Wow.
And then finally, when he broke away in that breakaway in 74, he got the okay to kill him. And
Yeah.
he fucking, the most, I think, joyful day in my father's life is when he killed Mooney. Hated him.
Wow.
Hated him. Oh my God, I hated him.
Wow.
I never saw my father hate somebody as bad as he hated this guy.
Wow.
He used to grind his teeth when he heard his name.
Oof.
Yeah. He used to sit at nighttime sometimes, drink and shadow box and say how he's gonna kill him. He used to just sit in the corner, talk, I'm gonna chop him up, I'm gonna take this piece off one by one, because he hated him.
Wow.
Hated him, man.
Nowadays they tell him to meditate.
Yeah. He went to go kill him in 71 too, and he got pinched on the way there.
Wow.
That's why Ricky did a year with a gun
Right,
charge in
because-
Nassau.
Okay.
He was on
So
the way to-
it built up because of,
He was going to kill him in 71, and he wound up getting pinched. He did a
Wow.
year in jail for the gun
Wow.
charge.
And so sitting there stewing.
He was
and,
leaving Brooklyn, and he was on the way to Long Island to kill him, and they
Wow.
pinched him in Valley Stream. And that's another thing. He rented a car. He's got a gun in the seat. He's driving it to thing, and he gets pinched. Why? We thinking someone in that crowd
may have-
gave him up, saying Ricky's on the way to go do something like that, and got swooped down on. How would the law know that you're on the way to do anything and you got a gun on?
Right.
I mean, you're just driving through the town. How many times you drive, you ever get stopped? No.
Yeah. Right.
And he wasn't speeding, he wasn't doing nothing, so somebody gave him up on that. And he wanted to do a year for just gun possession.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in 74, when he finally got him, I never saw the most happiest man in the world. It was almost happier than my grandchildren. And he said when he had his grandchildren, he wasn't as happy. When he killed this
Wow.
guy, he hated this guy so
Yeah.
bad.
Wow.
Mooney, oh my God. I lived for years and years with it, hearing Mooney. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to chop him up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, man.
How did it finally happen?
They killed him in a diner in 74. So I think 74, 70, they killed him in a diner on Avenue L. He was on that breakaway, and they called him in saying that was okay. And that's when he came out of hiding, and they went and killed him. They walked into two of them. I think it was him and Tony Bernardo. A guy named Tony Bernardo went there, and they killed him in the diner. I hate him. I know why, because they went down to President's Day, and they were all drinking that night. Everybody was smiling and laughing, and they were so happy. I watched. I said, okay. Them motherfuckers dead, they said. Yeah, it was funny. It was funny because it was natural because he did something wrong,
Right.
and not liked, and
Yeah.
you're gonna go.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, They're very funny people, man. They got, and then on the other side of these people, they parties, Berts, very loving, very protective. And then when it came to business, they'll shoot you in the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
They separated that so amazing, you know. Guys the most meekest guys and the most loving guys and family-oriented guys were the worst killers.
Wow.
When they had to go do something, they turned one thing off and turned the other light bulb on.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you deal with them every day, you know. There was a guy, Steven Cirillo, that they killed in '74. He was a big shooter for the Gallo. He was very instrumental. You wouldn't tell, you'd think he was a priest. Most well-mannered, soft-spoken, family guy. But when he got a call, Steven, I'd be there, you know, and then do what he had to do.
Yeah.
They turn it on and turn it off. I always said that it was, you can't, you have to be born or natural to you to do that. You can't just, I want to be a gangster today and do stuff.
No,
just,
it's got to be part of your being.
You got to be, because being around all of them, it was natural. They didn't turn it on and turn it off as far as everyday mannerisms. I mean, they were gangsters every day.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They robbed, they stole, they got scores, they talked to people, they shook people down, they got business. That's what there was. A business was every day, you know?
Yeah.
But when it came to killing, which not everybody did that, there was only a handful of killers. I mean, there was 30 guys down Pleasant Street, 4 guys were shooters. Other guys were just gangsters. They would steal, they would take numbers, they would do, shakedowns, or they would, get businesses somehow or create things and bars, restaurants. But there was always a few shooters. Not everybody was that way, It was only a few. Not everybody's a shooter, So, but being around them, it's a baby and stuff like that, and see how natural it is, you scratch your head, because if you're an outsider saying, how does that person be that way? It's amazing how they are. It's like business and no business. It's actually almost like a business,
It is.
Yeah, it's a business,
Yeah.
You do something wrong in that business. And I never saw nobody kill anybody that wasn't out of this business.
Right.
It was always pertaining to that. And never saw nobody do nothing out of it. I never saw nobody barter some civilian or go like that. I've seen a civilian do something wrong and want to pay in a piper because you want to be a gangster against a gangster, then you're going to pay a piper.
Yeah.
My father killed a guy in 13th Avenue one time because he was in a bar drinking, and the guy thought he was a tough guy, but he wasn't, with nobody. He was just a tough guy and wanted to be a tough guy at the bar drinking, and they went upside him. He lost the battle.
Wow.
Father went to trial. He beat the trial, but it's funny because he's at trial, and right behind my father during the trial was a guy named Roy Musico, and they looked alike. They bought that bus just at the time. They were raggedy, and Rory was sitting right behind my father at the trial, the murder trial. And one of the witnesses, when they asked him to point out the killer, he turned around and said, "It looks like him, but it looks like him." Rory threw the case out.
Wow.
Couldn't identify.
Was that done on purpose?
No.
No. Wow.
No, because the guy Rory looks so much like my father.
Oh man.
At that time, that they actually threw the case out on that because they fought it for that,
Yeah.
And on that technicality, he threw the case out.
Wow.
He did kill him, but
Yeah.
the argument was,
How do you convict?
And did the guy deserve it? Did he deserve to die? No. But when you're doing combat in the middle of the street, anything can happen. So you just lost. We look at it as you the loser. You know what I mean? Now, we look back now, do you deserve to die? Some people are just stupid. Do you deserve to die? Was he going to kill Ricky at the time? You don't know. You're in the middle of combat now. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't know. So if you're that way, you got to do what you got to do. And there's no,
Right.
well, maybe, or you just do what you got to do. Survival. But he beat that case. It was good. I forgot what year that was. But he beat that. And didn't get caught for 6 others. So if you like my father told me at the end, before he died, he goes, listen, if I got caught for one thing, he goes, I look at it as that I didn't get get caught for the other 6.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So because they were real gangsters. He didn't turn around and say, I'm gonna give somebody up. He goes, no, I'm gonna die in jail. He goes, and you're gonna die in jail. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't wanna, but that's what we do. Some guys are just different. They're inbred, real gangsters. and other people just make believe. There's a lot of make believe people.
Yeah.
You know, they want to do bad things and make money, but when the shit's the fan, they're not there. And that happens a lot now over the last 25 years. When I was a kid, I don't know anybody ratting. I saw everybody in jail or dead.
Yeah.
I didn't see nobody ratting. I never saw that before.
So tell us about the mafia now.
You know, they're underground. There's guys doing what they got to do. You're always going to have crimes. You're always going to have that. I mean, the social clubs are not there no more. The flashiness is not there no more. You know, there's different crimes they're doing now. I mean, there's always going to be criminals, you know.
Right.
They're just really, they're in disarray because you still got a lot of rats are going to come out because they're pinching guys left and right. And it takes a little while. You know, they pinched a guy 2 years ago. It takes time to get that case going against you. You know what I mean? So a lot of these guys still got headaches.
Yeah.
If there was a guy around them that got pinched. Sometimes you don't know. You know what I mean? So everybody's trying low. And it's just not flashy no more. But everybody's doing something. There's always stocks. There's always restaurants. There's always that they own or something like that. Or drugs are still big. You know, some people still doing it, you know, low key now. But you know, when there's something to be criminal activity, they're always going to do it. I mean, if it's not the Italians, the Russians
It's somebody
are doing
else.
it. The Chinese are doing it. The Colombians are doing it.
Albanian,
It's always going to be crime out there.
Yeah.
But with the Italian mafia, it's not as flashy no more. Don't forget, we went out dressed up, so we look like gangsters, and you would know we were a gangster. When I came in the bar, you're going to know somebody's going to go look at that guy.
Right.
You know, then they don't do that now. They wear sweatshirts. They wear this.
Right. They're all wearing tracksuits. They look like a suburban
trying
dad.
To be more of a businessman. You know,
Right.
A lot of people are. A lot of the smart ones are. And don't forget, a lot of guys over the years and years, they took bad money and made good money into it. A lot of restaurants, pastry shops.
Sure.
You know, own a lot of things. You know, construction companies, but legit ones now. You know, that they turn bad money into good money.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, always doing something. Because it's in their blood doing something, but a lot of people turn legitimate stuff. Yeah. You know, bad money to good money.
Well, speaking of legitimate stuff, how can people find out more about it? You've got a couple books, Mob Candy Magazine.
Mob Candy Mag. You go mobcandy.com, mobcandymag.com. You find everything I did. There was books and magazines. Amazon. You know, Frank DiMatteo. You'll get all my books.
All right.
And mobcandymag.com. You find everything I've done.
All right. Well, Frank, thanks for having me down here, and thanks for being a guest on the show.
Thank you.
All right.
It was a pleasure, man.
We did it.